The city lights flickered through the rain-streaked windows of the Manhattan high-rise, casting shadows that danced like ghosts across the polished marble floors of our office. I've been at Harper & Klein for just over a year, a fresh-faced 25-year-old from the Midwest, clutching my marketing degree like a lifeline in the cutthroat world of advertising. Alex Harper, that was me, the kid who hustled coffee runs and late-night revisions, dreaming of the day I'd pitch my first big campaign. Jordan Klein, my boss, was the untouchable force at the top, 32, sharp as a blade, with a jawline that could cut glass and eyes the color of storm clouds over the Hudson. He wore tailored suits like armor, navy blue or charcoal gray, always crisp, always commanding, the kind that screamed power without apology. We were worlds apart, or so I told myself every morning when I'd catch him in the elevator. His cologne, a subtle mix of sandalwood and citrus, lingering long after the doors closed. From the start, I swore it off. Love at first sight? That was for rom-coms, not for guys like me, still figuring out how to own the quiet ache I'd carried since college, when a fumbling kiss in a dorm room had cracked open something raw and real inside me. Jordan was straight-edge professional, the kind of man who dated models and closed deals with a handshake that sealed fates. Or at least, that's what the office rumors painted, the bachelor heir to the Klein legacy, untethered and unbreakable. I buried my crush under spreadsheets and sarcasm, trading quips with him over client briefs, laughing it off when his hand brushed mine during a presentation huddle. But God, those brushes, they were electric, little jolts that left me breathless, replaying them in the shower until the water ran cold. It started innocently enough, or as innocent as things get in a pressure cooker like ours. The Whitaker account was our white whale, a billion-dollar pharma giant sniffing around for a rebrand that could make or break the quarter. Jordan led the charge, his voice steady as he outlined strategies in war room meetings, pacing the conference room like a general. I'd been assigned as a shadow, the junior exec tasked with the grunt work, research, mock-ups, the endless grind. Nights blurred into dawns at the office, fueled by takeout Thai and black coffee, the two of us alone under the hum of fluorescent lights. "You're good at this, Alex," he'd say, leaning over my shoulder to tweak a slide, his breath warm against my ear. I'd nod, throat tight, pretending the praise didn't twist something deep in my gut. One evening, after a brutal all-nighter, he clapped me on the back, harder than usual, his palm lingering a beat too long. "Drinks? My treat. You earned it." The bar was a dive off Madison Avenue, all exposed brick and vinyl booths, the kind of place where secrets spilled easier than the overpriced IPAs. We talked shop at first, dissecting the pitch, but the alcohol loosened the reins. He opened up about the weight of the family name, how his father's shadow loomed over every decision, how he clawed his way up without a safety net. I shared bits of my own story, the small-town kid who'd come out to his parents over Thanksgiving turkey, their awkward hugs masking the unspoken fear of losing me to the big city. "It's lonely out here," I admitted, swirling the dregs of my beer. He met my eyes, something vulnerable flickering there. "Yeah, it is. That vulnerability, it was a crack in the facade, and I fell through it head first." By the third round, the conversation veered reckless, stories of first loves, the ones that scarred deepest. His was a college fling, a girl from art school who painted him as her muse until she didn't. Mine? I hedged, But the whiskey pushed truth to the surface. "A guy," I said finally, voice low. "Back in Ohio." It ended well, because the world wasn't ready for us. Jordan didn't flinch. He leaned in, his knee brushing mine onto the table. And for a heartbeat, the air thickened with unspoken what-ifs. "The world's changing, Alex. Slowly, but it's changing." We stumbled out into the night. The summer rain slicking the sidewalks, turning the city into a mirror of blurred neon. His apartment was closer, a sleek loft in Soho. All glass walls and minimalist furniture. The kind of space that echoed with solitude. "Just for one more," he said, unlocking the door. And I followed, heart hammering like a war drum. The rain pounded the windows as we collapsed onto the leather couch. A bottle of scotch between us. The conversation fracturing into fragments of laughter and regret. His tie came off first, loosened with a casual flick, revealing the hollow of his throat, the pulse beating steady there. I don't know who moved first, maybe it was me, reaching for his glass, our fingers tangling, or him, turning with that half-smile that undid me every time. But then his lips were on mine, tentative at first, then hungry, like he'd been starving for this as long as I had. It was reckless. That night, a whirlwind of hands and heat, shedding clothes like old skin on the rug by his bed. His body was lean and strong, marked by faint scars from a childhood of rough sports. His skin warm under my palms as I traced the lines of him. We moved together in the dark, whispers turning to gasps, the rain of curtains sealing us from the world. For those hours, there were no titles, no hierarchies, just Jordan and Alex. Two men unraveling in the quiet fury of want. Dawn crept in too soon, gray light filtering through the blinds, and reality crashed back like a wave. He stirred beside me, eyes opening to meet mine, a flicker of panic in them before the mask slipped into place. "We can't," he murmured, sitting up, running a hand through his tousled hair. But I was already falling, the words rising unbidden as I pulled him close one last time. "I love you, Jordan. And I can't pretend anymore." He froze, the confession hanging between us like smoke. Then, slowly, he pulled away, his face a war of emotions, desire warring with duty, fear clashing with the spark I'd seen last night. "Alex, you're my employee. This could ruin us both." His voice cracked on the last word. And in that crack, I heard the truth. He felt it too. This pull that defied every rule we'd sworn by. But the boardroom loomed. The contracts. The prying eyes of colleagues who thrived on scandal. He dressed quickly, the suit snapping back into place like chainmail. And by the time we parted in the elevator, awkward nods and averted gazes. The reckless night felt like a dream I'd woken from alone. Back at the office, the air crackled with unspoken tension. I threw myself into the Whitaker prep, burying the ache under color-coded notes and revised taglines. But every glance across the table was a live wire. Jordan was professionalism incarnate. Crisp shirts, measured tones, delegating tasks with that effortless authority. Yet in stolen moments, the brush of his fingers when handing over a file, the way his eyes lingered during a team huddle, I saw the fracture lines. He was fighting it, same as me, but the pull was magnetic, drawing us closer even as we circled warily. The pitch meeting arrived like a storm front, The Whitaker execs filing into our conference room with their power suits and skeptical smirks. Jordan stood at the head, commanding the room as he unveiled the rebrand, Vitality Redefined, a campaign blending cutting-edge visuals with stories of real resilience. Human faces breaking through sterile pharma ads. My contribution, the emotional core, testimonials from everyday fighters, wove through it. And when he credited me publicly, his voice warm with genuine pride, my chest tightened. The clients leaned in, nodding, and by the end, handshakes sealed the deal. Champagne popped in the break room, cheers echoing off the walls. But as the team toasted, Jordan caught my eye across the fizzing glasses. "You nailed it," he mouthed, and the simple words hit like a promise. That night, the celebration spilled into a rooftop bar overlooking the skyline. Fairy lights strung like stars against the twilight. Colleagues mingled, loosening ties and spilling secrets. But I hung back, nursing a gin and tonic, the high of victory soured by the secret gnawing at me. Jordan found me there, leaning against the railing, the city sprawl a glittering distraction below. "Alex," he said, voice low, stepping close enough that his warmth cut through the evening chill. "About last night." I turned, heart in my throat, ready for the shutdown, the polite distance. But his hand found my arm, thumb tracing a gentle circle. I lied. "It's not that we can't. It's that I'm terrified we will." The admission cracked me open, raw and real, and I pulled him into the shadows of the potted palms. Our kiss fierce and unapologetic under the indifferent stars. It was a reclaiming, that moment defiant against the rules, the risks, the years I'd spent hiding from this very fire. We broke apart breathless, foreheads pressed together, and for the first time, I saw the man behind the boss, vulnerable, yearning, every bit as lost as I was. "Then let's be terrified together," I whispered, and his smile, small, real, lit something unbreakable in me. But love in the shadows is a fragile thing, easily bruised by the light of day. The next week brought whispers, a colleague spotting us leaving the bar too close, eyebrows raised over coffee machines. Jordan pulled back, meetings clipped, emails formal, the distance a shield he wielded like a weapon. I understood the stakes were sky high, his career a tightrope over an abyss, but each evasion stung, a reminder of the power he held. The choice always is to make. Late one night, alone in the office, I confronted him in the copy room, the hum of the machine a white noise to my frustration. "Is this it?" One step forward, two back, he sighed, pinching the bridge of his nose, the exhaustion etching lines around his eyes. "It's not that simple, Alex. My father's watching. The board. If this gets out, it's not just me." His words landed like blows, stirring the old doubts. The boy from Ohio who'd learned early that love like ours was a luxury, not a given. I stormed out, the elevator ride a blur of tears I refused to shed, vowing to rebuild the walls I'd torn down. Days turned to a cold war, professional nods in hallways, buried feelings under deadlines. The Whitaker rollout consumed us. Late nights, scripting ads. But the spark was dimmed, our interactions laced with polite frost. Yet beneath it, the tension simmered, a live coal waiting for breath. It ignited unexpectedly during a client dinner at a midtown steakhouse, all dark wood and clinking crystal. The Whitaker VP, A bulldog of a man named Hargrove dominated the table with bluster, toasting to traditional values that made my skin crawl. Jordan, ever the diplomat, smiled through it, but I saw the tightness in his jaw, the way his fork paused midair. As dessert arrived, cheesecake towers dripping with caramel, Hargrove turned to me, slurring slightly. "So, Alex, you got a girl waiting back home? Keep you grounded in this madhouse." The table chuckled, expectant, and something snapped. "No," I said, voice steady despite the quake inside. "A guy, actually. And yeah, he keeps me more than grounded." Silence fell, thick as fog, forks hovering. Jordan's eyes locked on mine, wide with a mix of shock and something fiercer, pride, maybe, or fear. Hargrove recovered with a forced laugh, muttering about modern times, but the damage was done. Back at the office the next day, the fallout brewed, sidelong glances, Hargrove's curt email pulling back on expansions. Jordan called me into his office. Door closed. The city a distant hum beyond the glass. "What the hell were you thinking?" he demanded. But his voice broke, revealing the worry beneath the anger. I stood my ground, chin lifted. I was thinking of us, of not hiding anymore. "If that's too much." He crossed the room in 2 strides, cup in my face, his touch a lifeline. "It's everything," he breathed, kissing me with a desperation that erased the miles between us. In that office, suits rumpled on the floor. We surrendered again, not reckless this time, but resolute, bodies and hearts aligning in the quiet rebellion of midday light. It was a turning point. That stolen hour, promises whispered against skin, vows to face the storm side by side. But storms have teeth. The board meeting loomed, Hargrove's influence whispering poison, and Jordan's father, the elder Klein, a silver-haired titan with a ledger for a heart, summoned him home to Connecticut for a chat. I paced my tiny Brooklyn walk-up that weekend, the subway rumble a mocking underscore to my anxiety. Phone silent as a grave. When he finally called, his voice was hollow. "He's threatening to pull funding unless I clean house. Discretion, he calls it. Or else." The words gutted me. Visions of a future severed flashing like lightning. "Fight it," I urged, though doubt clawed at me. For us, Monday brought the axe, not mine, but a restructure that sidelined the Whitaker team. Whispers of distractions floating like shrapnel. Colleagues murmured, eyes darting. Had they guessed? Jordan soldiered on, his resolve stealing into something fierce. But I saw the toll, shadows under his eyes, the Scotch bottle half empty in his desk drawer. Vermitten secret now. Stolen dinners in hole-in-the-wall spots where no one knew our names. Hands intertwined under tables, planning our escape. Start over, he'd say, tracing patterns on my palm. Somewhere the world doesn't care who we love. Seattle, maybe, or Austin, places where the air felt freer, the horizon wider. The climax crashed in a boardroom showdown. Elder Klein presiding like a judge, his gaze dissecting Jordan's every move. The agenda was budgets, but the subtext screamed ultimatum. As numbers droned, Jordan stood, unscripted, unyielding. "I'm retooling the team," he announced, voice ringing clear. "And that includes owning who I am. The man I love is part of this company, part of my success. If that's a problem, gentlemen." The doors open, gasps rippled. Klein Sr.'s face purpling. But Jordan held firm, eyes finding mine through the glass wall where I'd waited. Heart in my throat. The room erupted, arguments, walkouts, but in the chaos, he walked out unbroken, straight to me. We fled to the rooftop that afternoon, the city of vast, indifferent canvas below. Rain threatened again, but we didn't care, wrapped in each other as the first drops fell. I choose you, he said simply, and it was enough, the world narrowing to this. To us. The fallout came, resignations, headlines and trade rags about Klein's bold stand, but so did allies, colleagues who'd hidden their own truths, clients praising the authenticity. Harper and Klein didn't crumble. It evolved. Jordan at the helm with me by his side, not as subordinate, but partner in every sense. Months later, as autumn painted Central Park gold, we stood hand in hand at a quiet ceremony, vows exchanged under a canopy of leaves, friends and chosen family witnessing the life we'd claimed. The reckless night had been the spark, the confession the flame, but this enduring warmth was the fire we'd tend forever. Love, it turned out, wasn't a luxury. It was the revolution that set us free.